What up, everybody? It's your boy. It's been a little minute. Just been working on some Blood World stuff as always. You know, I am a writer primarily. So if I go for a little minute, don't be alarmed. I'll be right back. I always come back when something interesting drops or something is decent. I will always give my opinions on this MIC. And speaking of MIC, got one of these. And you'll notice that the background is different. So I'm now in the library, the astute part of my home. And yeah, let's talk about this new Carti and Weekend record. I have actually heard the song, and I heard the song for the first time yesterday. I wasn't even aware that it came out. My brother put me onto it and was like, I like this new song. Carti's got a new record. And I was like, really? And I heard it once, and I was like, okay. It wasn't trash, which is always a nice sign. So I've heard it once. I haven't really heard a lot of it, but I have heard the initial, and I do think it's actually one of the better Carti rhymes, or I should say presences I've heard actually in years, now that I think about it. So maybe it's a good sign. Now, I haven't seen the video, so let's talk about this, all right? Yo, Pierre, you wanna come out here? Alright. Let's go.
Ever since I was a chick, and why was a shit?
Let's go.
Shawty keep wanna come round, she wanna get hit.
She thinks she done made me, can I get her by my side?
Okay, right away, the video starts off with Carti. Carti is the sauce. He's the more interesting guy, in my opinion. I mean, let me see here. Okay, Weekend, but this is boring. This is black leather. We don't care about any of this shit, right? Swagless. Now, this is interesting, right? You see the bracelet, right away you're like, who's that? Or what's that, right? Again, great rappers, or at least decent rappers, it's usually all kind of a package, you'll notice. They usually have pretty good voices, good beats, good sense of fashion, because hip-hop kind of requires you to have a lot of those things in bulk, right? So, you'll notice with whack niggas, they tend to not have any of that stuff. Or they'll have somebody that's dressing them or whatever. But that's another conversation. Because the truth is, at the end of the day, right, a creative person is a creative person in pretty much all endeavors. Really, if you really sit and think about it, right? Like, people who do new things and who try to do something that's different and beautiful and unique, they tend to apply that in every facet of their life, depending on what it is that they're doing at that time. So that's why, again, somebody who's kind of whack, like let's say just a whack rapper, their beats are whack, they probably have, not great voices, and they probably are not very creative with the content matter, and they're probably not that creative with their fashion choices, right? Again, it's rap to me is about creativity at its core, at least the good stuff, right? There's a certain creativity, and not a pretentious, forced creativity. It's a creativity that that is charismatic at its core. It makes you go, oh, that's dope. I would totally, like, that's hard. You know what I mean? Like, but it's different, right? Anyway, so we're going back to Carti.
Ever since I was a chick, and why was a shit?
So I like the beat. I don't think the beat's all that. I don't think the beat's amazing. It's clearly, when I hear this kind of beat, this is a beat that is made for definitely a more casual audience, all things considered. Because you'll notice it, to me, that's why I made the joke about yo PA, because it has that feel in a way, sort of, that ASAP. We're still kind of in that pattern in terms of the beats, but it's clearly like a slightly softer version, right? Because The Weeknd is a pop artist. His audience is, there is some rap in there, but it's really more of a mainstream kind of audience. So obviously the beat's not going to be some like crazy shit that like Pierre be doing, right? But it's going to be a little bit reminiscent of that, and you need songs like this because ultimately, and I don't expect The Weeknd to be making, Pierre trap beats and stuff like that essentially, but the point is that mainstream artists need that underground feel a little bit because it differentiates them and makes them seem like, oh, they're coming out with something fresh, right? Like this is somewhat of a street record to a certain extent, right? In feel, it's not, again, it's The Weeknd, but that's what you need. These things, they may not necessarily do the biggest on the chart, but they do announce that The Weeknd is here and has something possibly new and exciting for his audience, right? As we continue. As we proceed.
Shawty keep wanna come round, she wanna get hit.
She say she the main because I keep her by my side.
So, Carti, dope voice. This is something, again, I've always liked about Carti. I do think that he just has a certain vocal delivery. It's not like the world's earth-shattering vocal deliveries. Again, I kind of grew up on, the DMXs and the Mos Defs and Nas's of the world. So, Playboi Carti isn't quite there, but he's a lot better than 99% of these new guys, right? Like you can tell that Carti has a voice for rap, right? He's able to vocalize. And that's why it's been really disappointing for me when he's been off on this sort of like whole lot of red, punk sort of thing, and then he started doing the Future sort of imitation. I was just like, what are you doing, man? Like you are an original, right? Like you should be leading the pack as you were leading the pack before. So I do think it's interesting that this style that he's demonstrating on the song, even the way the beat is and the way that he's sort of pronouncing his vocals, is actually a shot back to his older style, to the style that I actually like about Carti, like the self-titled, I would say this is more maybe a die-lit, sort of thing, right? I liked self-titled. I've said this in my previous videos, that's my favorite Carti period, because that was when Carti was like at his rawest, in my opinion, but still doing something different, and the beats were crazy raw and all that stuff. But I like that he's going back to this as opposed to that whole lot of red. That stuff was horrible, and all that, yeah, all the stuff he dropped after that to me was just not good.
Double up, bust on a watch, you know that I'm timeless.
I put my son in some red. I pull that gun off the hip. Pockets on 22 clip. I'll make a heart, come on, go so. Put on a shirt, get put on a blick. Feel like a stain, get ready to lit. I had to tell her that I was a dick, no, I was a shit. She singing my songs, she wanna die lit. Tryna.
Yeah, that's a nice bar. She's singing on my song, she wanna die lit. So yeah, I mean, again, he's kind of, going in and out vocally, trying some little different sort of like sounds, but again, more toned down, not so cartoonish and helium to me as he was kind of doing in the last couple of years, or so scratchy, right? Again, it was a little, he went too extreme with it, in my opinion. So I kind of like this, but I will say that he ain't really saying nothing, right? Like, it's one of those things where, again, Carti in the self-titled era was a lot clearer to me, ironically, even though at the time it was obviously, it felt mumbly, but I do miss that. I really do miss that self-titled era. And I will point out something, it's interesting. People will often, well, not everybody, but certainly Carti haters will say, oh, he's just, it's just the beats. Like, he's lucky he got great beats. Well, if you think about it, listen to the songs that Pierre does with other people. They're worse. And the truth of the matter is that Carti actually somehow, because he probably has a good ear, or his team have a good ear, I mean, he's kind of with the ASAP mob in them, they pick the best Pierre beats. And Pierre has a lot of great stuff, but, if you really look at it, like, the vast majority of all the best Pierre shit went to Carti, right? So that's number one, right? And that, again, that relationship between rapper and producer is something that a lot of people don't talk about. A producer, in a way, is only really as good as the rapper. I've heard, I didn't say this as a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine when I was hanging out in Brooklyn, and he had worked on the Black Album. He told me this, and that's why he's like, the reason why certain rappers, the Jays and the Nas's and the Bigs and prodigies of the world are where they are is because they have an ear for music at the end of the day, right? Like, their rhymes are incredible because they have an ear for music, and it inspires the producers to go to the next step, right? So it's a symbiotic relationship. I just find it really interesting because people complain about Carti, but when I hear other people that rap on pure beats, they're always worse. Like, including J. Cole and others. They're just not as good. Right? So clearly Carti has something. He has a certain vocal charisma that works. And look, if you disagree, do better. Right? Some of those beats are on the internet. Like, if you think that Carti can't rap or whatever, take one of those dope beats, yeah, I mean, whatever, and kill it. Let me know. I would love to hear somebody actually kill it, but the truth is I haven't heard it.
Yeah, hit, house like a bait. Deposit they beat. Deposit that check. Smile on my face. Ain't paying shit. Come and get checked. Ice on my neck. I roll her wrist. She in the sky. Hell of a cat. Push out the church. 400 packs.
Yeah, I spend it in Paris. Just for these hoes, they finna flock. Just for fun, it's all they bought. I'm just finna hit. I'm feeling hip. I'm rusting it all on my divas. I
Feel like the rock.
ever since I
All that was like, what the hell is this dog talking about? I can barely make out a word. I mean, the thing is, again, I like Carti. Carti will never be like in the top tier to me necessarily, of course, from what I grew up on. But that's because he ain't really saying a whole lot, right? And when he is rapping, yes, vocally it's okay, but clarity is a big thing in rap. You'd be surprised. And, there's something to be said about when someone says something and it's clear, right? And it's hard and it just works, right? It's a different level, man. It's a different level. Let me give you a perfect example because this is, you should know where I'm going with this. It's a different fucking level, right? Look at that, nice beat.
You know where I'm taking this. Taking it right there. And leave me no choice.
Let's go.
She said she was a model for a year and a half. And then she took her pins out, then her hair dropped down to a calf. I knew a man, he was just up north and would've got left up north, but he was the chef up north. Anyway, I'm K.I. double.
See, anyway, I'm K.I. double. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look at how he's spitting. When it's clear, there's a certain, you're like, oh, that's that real shit. I feel you. That's like you're parting the seas like some Moses. When you're clear, clarity goes a long way in anything. So when Carti's blah, 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 like that shit will never be hot in the grand scheme of things. Like, it'll sound alright, but it's not this. Okay? And Carti was clearer back then, by the way. So that's what I'm saying. I get that he was kind of mumbly a little bit for aesthetics, but he's pushed it a little too far in this song, in my opinion.
I was a kid, I've been legit. If I was you, I would cut up my wrist. Exotic all over.
Okay, the song, or I should say this video is pretty boring so far. Obviously, to me, Carti is the most interesting part of the video, but it's still boring. It's just like, Weeknd and Carti in a, abandoned warehouse or some shit with some girls. But it's not done in a way that's like really all that interesting. It's low key, low budget. It's almost, again, like, I understand it's a different era, but it's like when you watch stuff like this, it's almost like the label doesn't really believe the song is gonna go anywhere, or maybe they feel like it's alright, but we're not gonna put a lot of money behind this. We're gonna do a video because you need a video for this. It's picking up some traction or something like that. But I don't know. I'm not really liking this video. I'm not hating on it, but it's just not. It's too dark, and it's just nothing about it has stuck out.
My body, she just wanna roll and I don't mind it. Ever since I was a G, I've been legit. Now you should let her go. She wanna be.
So another thing that sorry for pausing, but something that I thought was actually interesting when I first heard this, when Weeknd was like, ever since I was a jit, and I was like, we don't say that in Toronto, right? Jit. Now, that's like, what slang is that? Is that like some southern shit? I feel like that's some south shit. 'Cause I've heard the jit. let's see. Urban Dictionary. Prison slang. Let's see here. What is it? It's Florida. I know it's something that we don't say that. We definitely don't say that in Toronto. I've never in my life heard someone say "jit" ever, and and look, I'm all for borrowing slang and vibes and stuff. Again, I've made this argument that anything in hip hop is fair game if you love it and it really speaks to you. I never was this person who was like a regional person who comes from this place must sound like this. I don't really believe in that. I think it's nice if you can represent home team and do it really well and to take aspects of what your home are and bring them out. But also I think it's cool when you incorporate aspects of other people as well, and that makes you a sort of more well-rounded, sophisticated person. So again, I'm not the kind of person to police a vibe or where someone is coming from. But that like really stuck out to me. I was like, oh, we do not say that in Toronto or in Canada, like, or in the East.
Double O tatted on her body, yeah. It don't matter what they say, I'm timeless, city on fire. When I'm coming home, fill up the sky. I'm coming home, city on fire. When I'm city on fire. When I'm coming home, fill up the sky. I fill up the dome. They'll play one day. It's a hell of a show, but it's gonna hurt, cause we did it first. Feel like skateboard beat. BBC boys on the creep. Feel like it's 03.
Oh, that's right. Pharrell did this beat, or was one of the producers on this beat. Feeling like skateboard P. Okay, fair enough.
Neptune.
Still run. Old niggas still run you niggas.
Drum with a beat. She hippie flipping a beat. She wanna fuck with the team. She fell in love with the cream. She fell in love with the scene. Oh yeah. Her man quiet, not a beat. Broke his heart, PTSD. Hold his chest, let it breathe, let it breathe. Nigga scheming, I got a priest. He got a cross, get out of line, send him to God. I shed a tear, pray for her loss, oh yeah. Ever since I was a kid, I've been legit. If I was you, I would cut on my wrist. Exo tatted all over her body. I was a kid, I've been legit.
Yeah, okay. Ever since I was a kid, I've been legit. I think he says ever since I was legit, I've been legit. So I think the kid just works better and it doesn't strike out to me as much, but whatever.
If I was you, I would cut on my wrist. Exo tatted all over her body.
Wait, did he just advocate for Sui? clutching pearls. Sorry, weekend. We live in a very sensitive time. Okay, where you can't mention certain word that Zexies, sexual assault, and you gotta sort of make things palatable for people, but at the same time you gotta celebrate terrorists, that kind of thing. We live in a really weird time, the virtue signaling and all that stuff. So I'm surprised he let that lyric rock about slitting wrists. I'm sure somebody could make a complaint about that.
She just wanna roll and I don't mind it. Ever since I was a G, I've been legit. You should let her go, she wanna be this. Oh no. Double O tatted on her body. It don't matter what they say, I'm timeless. Timeless, 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 timeless. We timeless, oh timeless, 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 timeless. We timeless, oh.
I was just seeing, we see the girls with the asses out and all that. And I don't know, man. It's whenever I see that in the video and it's just so kind of like the girls just standing there and they're like trying to do like the twerk, and the twerk is kind of even like a bit of a struggle. Like these girls look bored. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, it just kills the vibe. I mean, I like fat asses like every man. You know what I'm saying? Well, not every man. I don't know if every man necessarily loves them, but men like what they like. At the end of the day, and I think that one of the things, everything has become so homogenized and lame, right? You know, guys like all kinds of things, and the idea that everyone now likes the same sort of beauty standard is wild to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, women are beautiful in a lot of different ways, right? So, the fact that, you know, videos are just always, it's just like the ass and then it's like fake asses and all stuff. It's like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you come up with your own, like, you know, you like what you like, right? You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to like something a little different. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's the old man in me talking. Carti. Suspect niggas. I've been playing a lot of suspect niggas actually. Considering with Diddy and all that. As Dame would say, what did Dame say? Baby oil crazy? He's like, I knew it was crazy, but I didn't know it was baby oil crazy. Oh my God. By the way, for those of y'all, sometimes, you know, I might not be making videos at the moment because I'm busy running around, but feel free to check me out in the community section because I be in there posting stuff. This video killed me. This was hilarious. Boondocks try to warn you about P. Diddy. Dude, oh man. That's some bullshit. Those are words that should never be said. But you know, this is the thing. When I had even forgotten about like that sort of part of Boondocks. You know, I remember, you know, Gangstalicious. Who doesn't? But like we took it there, man. That's why our era was a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to understand. Like when I saw Chappelle's show in real time. Like I saw the Boondocks in real time. Like we took it there. You know what I mean? Like. We took it as far as we could take it, right? And that's why you guys, we still run you. And that's why we love the 90s and stuff, because people were inspired and they really had something to say, right? Now everyone is sort of, you know, virtue signaling and pretending to care about others, and they don't want people to be harmed. But when you really look deep into it, 99% of these people are just mediocre. They're mediocre, actually, in the grand scheme of things. And they're playing victim, right? They're playing victim. Because it's easy. There's an advantage to playing victim, right? When you're mediocre, that's the point, right? Because then it sort of muddies the water as to what your actual motivations are. That's kind of the point of playing victim, right? Then people kind of focus more on the accuser or the accused, I should say, and the person of power, as opposed to like, you know, and then the moral. Sort of makeup of the person, person playing victim becomes unclear, and that's by design. That's how people who play victim, they do that, right? There's a video I watched recently, actually. You might want to check this out. I thought it was kind of pretty good. Yeah, the evolutionary advantages of playing victim. It's something to watch. I would recommend. And again, it doesn't obscure the fact that there are actual real victims out here. Of course there are, and we should always support real victims, and we should always have support for real victims. And yes, there's nothing to prevent, or I should say, there will always be people that will take advantage of victimhoods for their own benefit. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that we still can't reach out to real victims and help them. But again, the problem of people that play victim, often they usurp the benefits and the sympathies that we actually need for the real victims. And that's why they're very dangerous, right? It's not just the fact that they're, defrauding the public or defrauding an organization or whatever. It's that they are actually also defrauding real victims. And that's why I'm always skeptical, right? It doesn't mean that you can't be a victim, but I don't just sort of go, oh my God, here's a victim, blah, blah. No, I kind of go, okay, what's really at play here? And then, depending on what I can ascertain, then I say, okay, all right, sure, But that's just my 2 cents. Now, this song is whatever. But hadn't reacted to a video in a while, so I hope you enjoy it. And more is coming, okay? So as always, I'm still here, still doing it, and love y'all, man. Some updates soon, okay? Peace.